The Moving Iron Podcast is brought to you by these great sponsors. Are you looking to value your equipment more accurately, target the right buyers and close more deals, reach your ideal customer? Then look no further. Fusable isn't just about ag data, it's about action. Our best-in-class solution empowers you to value your equipment accurately, make informed decisions, and find the perfect prospects. Ignite your dealership's growth at fusable.com/movingiron-podcast. Out in the field, every decision counts. You wouldn't plant without testing your soil, so why would you prospect blind? Introducing EDA, your one-stop shop for ag equipment intel. EDA goes beyond specs and prices. You get deep dive data on every piece of equipment like UCC filings that help track ownership changes and uncover potential sales leads. D&B firmographics, which help you understand the financial health and buying power of potential customers. Market trends that help you stay ahead of the curve, and insights on equipment demands and pricings. With EDA, you're not just looking at data, you're seeing opportunity. You find the right buyer, sell smarter, and build lasting relationships. Visit edadata.com for your free demo and unlock the power of knowledge. For over 80 years, Iron Solutions has been your go-to data source for ag dealers, lenders, and manufacturers. Get powerful appraisal and value forecasting tools that fuel profitable decisions anytime, anywhere. Get your free demo at ironsolutions.com. Iron Solutions, confidence in every click. Today, there are many ways to finance ag equipment, but nobody delivers simple, fast, or flexible financing like AgDirect. Learn more about your options to buy, lease, and refinance equipment at agdirect.com. Valley Transportation has been hauling ag and construction equipment across the country for the past 33 years. Call Parker at 800-657-4910 for all your trucking needs. At Valley Transportation, our goal is to help you reach yours.
When you partner with Axon, you immediately gain access to a full range of products and solutions designed to meet the complex needs of today's grower. We carry all major brands and sizes of tires and wheels. We specialize in large diameter wheels for large equipment. We have one of the largest OEM replacement wheel inventories in North America. Known for extreme flotation setups, duals, and triples, we have wheels for all makes and models of tractors, sprayers, combines, and grain carts. If we don't have the wheel in stock, we'll custom build, sandblast, and paint in-house. There isn't a more vast inventory in North America dedicated to helping dealers move more iron. With facilities on the West Coast and in the heart of the Midwest, leverage our 230,000 square feet of indoor inventory to solve any problem a grower may have. Move more iron with Axon.
Moving iron in the 21st century. Hard-working people working hard for you and me. Moving iron time and time again. Through the years you'll find us here. Moving iron.
Hello, welcome to Moving Iron Podcast. I've got a couple guests here. I got Jake Daberkow from Iron Connect, and I got Rob Randall from Randall Brothers on to talk a little bit about what's going on in the world of just what's out there. And Jake wanted to come on and talk about what's going on with Last Call, which is a pretty cool, way to go about getting rid of equipment that's out there in front of the world. That's a little bit different than going through the auction route, but it also gives you the same connectivity and the same ability to touch all the same customer base that you would touch even if the auction thing was going on. So, Jake, thanks for coming on. Rob, thanks for coming on. Appreciate you guys being here.
You bet. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having me, sir.
All right, Jake, let's start with this first. So give us a little background on yourself. I know you've been on here before, but let's throw it out there one more time, kind of who you are and kind of how you got here.
Yep. So I'm Jake Daberkow. I appreciate you saying my name correctly. I haven't ever been called Daberkow since I was a little kid. I've been Daberkow since I was born. I think the kids were mooing at me in the kindergarten. But anyways, I'm one of the directors of business development at Iron Connect. I head up the Last Call platform and kind of help build that from the ground up since for a little over 2.5 years now. I've been with Iron Connect for about 3 years. Previous to this, I was at Sandhills for about 10 years. I focused on the overseas market there, but just a small town Nebraska kid who ended up living in Africa, and I can't do the cold anymore, so now I live down in Texas. But just got a real passion for helping dealers, make and save money and get deals done, really. So my day to day is a lot of talking about these days how to help mitigate losses, unfortunately, and that's what we built Last Call for. So I get called a bit of an equipment nerd day to day at Iron Connect, so I'll own that.
Right on. And Rob, talk a little bit about your background and what you do.
My family and I's in the used equipment business. Dad started back in the mid-'70s. I got an older brother named Ryan. I got an older brother named Scott. We all got out of school and went at it. We trade used equipment and farm. It's all we've ever done. It's all we know how to do. We don't really know how to do anything else. So just buy, sell, trade, deal with a lot of guys across the country. Strictly used. We're not in the new game. Met Jake a long time ago, a long way from home. So he asked if I'd be willing to come on here and chat a little bit about what they're offering, and that's where we're at.
Right on. Okay. Well, Rob, appreciate you being on, man. I know we've crossed paths a few times, kind of Moving Iron Summit and those kind of things. So glad you could come back on again, man.
Thanks for having us.
Glad having you here. All right, Jake, let's start off here. So Last Call, what is it?
Yeah, so this, I guess I like to talk about where the idea came from, okay. I guess. So, right. Iron Connect as a whole, it was built to be a private platform for dealers to buy, sell, and trade amongst themselves behind closed doors. We live in a world of data where, end users, retail customers have more access to data than ever. So every day we're building out more solutions and tools that are specifically designed for the dealers only. It's not built to benefit anybody but the dealers. And, looking back in the market when, 2021, around that time when inventory went super low and values went super high, we tried to look into what I like to call our crystal ball of what is this going to mean for the market in 1, 2, 3 years from now. And we saw a period coming where guys are going to be very heavy in inventory. And if, let's say they made a trade and they sat on it for 6 months, unfortunately the values were going to be dipping and they were going to be in a tough spot. And there was going to be some big losses that they could be looking at if they went straight to the auction market. So what we developed with Last Call was really inserting a new step in the process of getting rid of your equipment. And, our hopes are that, the very vast majority of equipment gets moved in the retail market. Obviously, the biggest margins live there. After that, we're hoping that they get sold on Iron Connect as a regular wholesale listing. But what we're trying to change with Last Call is insert right there between wholesale and auction. We see too many guys go, even from their retail price straight to the auction, kind of take what they get hit with a fee there. So what Last Call is, it was built to help dealers mitigate those losses. We built it out to be risk-free, so guys can list their equipment up there, and then if they don't sell it, they just put it into the auction like they're going into anyways, and they pay absolutely nothing. So what our hopes are is that guys are walking themselves down different pricing steps here. You got your retail price point A, B, C, maybe, then potentially roll into Iron Connect wholesale at prices A, B, C. And then before you go to auction, you feel like I've exhausted all options here. I'm ready to let this go at an auction price. So we've got an appraisal team that goes out and we look at all of the current auction transactions that take place, and we help dealers come up with, this is what you can expect to get from that machine at auction. And we talk them through why it's better to list it and sell it on Last Call at that price versus just going to the auction. And a big part of that is the fees that come with auction. But even more than that, everyone's fighting the same battle right now of trying to maintain retail strength. We're trying to keep those retail prices as high as possible. But the more data points that get made public from transactions at auction, that just pulls on those retail prices. So what we're trying to do is make those, auction price transactions happen in private and never have that go to the retail public. Again, trying to help maintain the retail strength in the market, because if you put something up on Last Call, you sell it to another dealer at the same price you'd sell it for at the auction, that guy's going to take it. He's going to be able to mark it up and sell it retail. Again, hopefully keep the retail market strong there. So in our eyes, we see it as a real, win-win even. It's a win for the buyer. It's a win for the seller. It's a win for the whole market. And if you don't sell it there, then you don't have to pay anything at all. You just put it into whatever auction you want to. And it hasn't really taken you any extra time. You need about 2 days to do that. So it's been a lot of fun, but, really we're fighting processes that have been around for a really long time. So it's an uphill battle some days, but the guys who have bought into it have found a lot of success. And, we've saved several $1 million in auction fees alone for our dealers who have moved stuff through last call.
Right on. Right on. So obviously you're going to use it, you're going to try to get some last minute exposure, but if you're going to give me a sales pitch on why I should use this, right? Obviously the biggest pitch is going to be, hey, you're going to save yourselves 2, 3, 4, 5%, whatever the number is on that. Talk to me a little bit about when you're looking at it, the customers that you're working with. Talk to me about some of the overall success stories you've seen. I mean, obviously, if I'm going to come in there with an unrealistic expectation of what my machine's worth at auction value is, right? And I know auction value is $100,000. I'm going to try to get 150 out of it. Obviously, that's not going to happen, right? Mm-hmm. Talk through how you're working with your customers to set that expectation of what they should be looking at.
Yeah, no, it's excellent. And really the main thing that we try to emphasize first is empathy. It's not fun to talk about somebody potentially losing money. So we don't go into this and say, we're going to hit you when you're already in a bad spot. But we're going in there. A lot of our conversations are around, carrying cost and interest rates. These guys, if they're sitting on equipment for too long, they're paying a ton of money for it just to sit there. And if they can get some money back in and put it to work, that's good for them. But, when we're going to people, what we're trying to do is stay ahead of it. We look at it as a complete equipment life cycle. It goes back to what I said about, we want you to sell at retail first. If you never have to make it onto Iron Connect, that's great. That means that you got your biggest margins there. So we're really trying to start these conversations a couple months before you get to your auction date. Some guys say if it has a birthday, that's when it goes to auction. So we try to talk to dealers about, what is your auction date? Is there a certain period of the year that you do this? Is there a day's aging? And then we say, all right, you're looking at in 3 months from now, you're going to go to auction. So, you should have your retail prices here, maybe drop it once or twice. And then we get on to Iron Connect. We try to move it as a regular wholesale listing, drop the price a couple times. So when we get to the end, we're going to look at it and we're going to try to remove all of our emotions from it. We aren't emotionally tied to these machines. We don't have the money in it. So again, empathy is there. We say, you tried all these different price points and now you have to be realistic about what you're going to get at the auction. So we provide a lot of auction data to them to say, hey, here's what's actually happening at the market. I know you want 150 out of that, but realistically you are going to get 100. And we kind of act it out if that happens. One, yes, the data gets made public, but then two, on top of that, you're going to have to pay an unnecessary fee, which, that can add up very quickly with the price of equipment today. These are big bills coming from some of the auction houses. So we're trying to walk them through that whole thing. And our hopes are that we don't even get to the point where they have to use last call. We don't really want it to get to that point. Again, we hope to sell it retail or wholesale, but in terms of what's driving the most success right now, it is those guys who take a second to sit down and think about, when it goes to auction, the auction market, it doesn't care about your costs. It doesn't think about that. You're going to get what the auction market's giving for it. And that's really why we set it up to be risk-free as well, because, we're moving probably about 40% of what we list on last call. But what drives that success, the guys who say, all right, as much as I want 150 out of this, I know that based off what you've shown me here, it is going to go for around 100. So we're happy to list it, at around 100. In terms of what's been moving, again, outside of the price points being the big success driver, pre-harvest, we did see a lot of heads and some combines moving. As of late, we've seen a lot of the higher horsepower tractors in that 2020 to 2023 range moving on there if they're priced correctly. But pretty consistently, since we started last call, we've seen things like 6,000 series tractors, and CCE equipment has been extremely successful. And that's not to say that we're not moving like sprayers and planters, but obviously there's some seasonality involved there. So
sure, right, yeah.
Ultimately, we want to walk them through that life cycle.
Yep. So that's so important, is to go in there with your eyes wide open. You know, when I first started this business, I had no earthly clue, and I knew what we had in it, so I would just get that much for what we'll call good. Mm-hmm. But we might be off $30,000, right? Mm-hmm. And you wonder why nobody wants to buy it, and that's exactly what it comes down to: doing that research, understanding what the market looks like, and all those kind of things. So, yeah, definitely drive there. Rob, so you're a guy, end user of Iron Connect. What is it about Iron Connect that you like, and why do you like to use it?
Well, from our standpoint, I mean, we like it. Probably the main reason is you get the first opportunity to try to buy it before it actually hits the general public. And then, after that, probably the big thing is all of your margins aren't always compromised, so with so much information readily available to the general public out there, all of a sudden you buy this here. Well, you search this serial number and, well, I know you gave this for it. Well, yeah, okay, I get it. There's also a ton of expenses that go into it. And obviously you're in it to make a profit. Well, from our standpoint, it's not always jeopardizing what you give, because no matter what, whenever somebody finds out what you paid for something, it's a mindset like, I just can't buy it because they're trying to make this on it. Well, obviously that makes it tough. That's probably the main thing about it. And then, obviously you make a deal, you get to deal one-on-one with the guys. It's not a great big production. It's boom, boom, and you're done with the deal and you move on. And then obviously one deal could always lead to another deal too. So it might not just necessarily be one piece. You get to have that conversation and move on and, talk with them, and they might have this piece or they might have that piece. And, it's just like any business you're in, it's a stepping stone. One deal will always lead to another deal. Obviously I probably sound a little biased from our standpoint, that's why we like it. But, trying to look at it from both sides, it's got to work for us and it's got to work for the other side too.
For sure.
So, if it doesn't work for both sides, it's obviously not going to be a good product. So, right. But, from the guys putting it on there, it's, just as much as not compromising the market so much, it doesn't hit the general public. Well, all of a sudden, they see the John Deere dealer have it on there for $150,000, and all of a sudden it goes to auction for $100,000. Well, they've been asking $150,000. Well, it's all the information isn't so readily available to the end user. I mean, I always kind of use the comparison a little bit. Well, what would happen to the car market if you opened car auctions to the general public? I mean, it would obviously drive the market down in a real quick hurry.
Very much so. Yeah.
And then on the other hand, not everything's always going to auction all the time. If you can disperse some items and not just completely flood the auction market with equipment, it's better for everybody. Mm-hmm. And then the next thing is too, well, and we hear it a lot of time in our business, well, if you're going to give that now, you'll give it in the auction. I'll take our chances of somebody bidding it up and run you higher. Well, maybe you are right, but maybe you are wrong. I mean, we watch lots of auctions, and obviously we always have a number down what we want to give. And sometimes you give that number, sometimes you give a little bit more than that number, and sometimes you buy it a bit less than that number. So, you never know. And just because it brought that on that certain day doesn't mean it's going to bring that tomorrow either,
Right. Rarely have I gone to an auction, and when I go to an auction, I'll go through the sell bill and the stuff that I'm interested in. I'll put my number on, where I think we should buy it at, and then where I think it'll sell at. Right. And I'll go through that, and rarely does the number ever really exceed what I think it'll sell for. And not because I'm some kind of auction wizard, but it's not like, if it does exceed it, it's a few $1,000s, right? I mean, I'm not talking like $5,000. I'm talking like $2,500, $1,500, something like that, And I think that's the misconception of the auction a little bit too, is there's the old, the old proverb, help in one hand and take a crap in the other and tell me which one fills up first, and that's the,
Right.
That's what that auction is, right? I mean, auction is the most standard thing out there, right? I mean, unless you're going through some kind of an amazing transition in the market, like we've seen over the last couple of years, where now it's kind of starting to stabilize out a little bit. But when it's going down, I mean, from auction to auction, you kind of start seeing some trend line patterns develop and those kind of things. But ultimately, at the end of the day, man, if this piece has been selling at auction for $100,000, it's wildly unrealistic to think that it's going to bring $125,000 or $150,000 the day that you take it to auction. Mm-hmm. It's going to bring close to $100,000, maybe $105,000, maybe $95,000, right? But it's going to bring somewhere close to that. And I think that's sometimes the misconception about, well, I'll just take my stuff to auction and see what happens and go from there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
it's just like everything else too. I mean, it's just another tool in the toolbox. I mean, it might not work for every case. It might not work for every person, but you know, it is an option you have out there. And
right.
I mean, virtually there's no risk to it. I mean,
right. Exactly. Yeah.
To Rob's point before too, what you don't want to have happen is these really huge packages go to auctions all at once in a time when it's trending downwards. But going back to, the carrying costs and interest rates, there's some people that are just being forced to do that. And one huge package going to auction with a lot of similar models on it, so let's say 2023 8R340s, for example, if that happens, all of those go to auction and get these, lower returns than what the retail market says, that just tugs down. So it's a big part of what we're trying to fight there. And that's why we made it risk-free, because we don't expect to sell everything on there. We hope to, but we know not everything's going to sell, and then just a smaller amount will go to the auction.
Right. So Jake, here's something I think about this a lot when I think about Last Call. I mean, you guys have a pretty regimented program if you want to follow it, right? You've got a lot of smart people that see the auction market, watch the retail marketplaces, look at the different listings and those kind of things. Like you said, you have an appraisal group that kind of understands what's going on in the market. If I come to you and say, hey man, I've got these 10 machines, I'm thinking about doing something with at auction. I'm not going to do anything for the next maybe 4 or 5 months before I really need to do something with it. On average, when you look at something like that, when you get to the last call, that absolutely, you've kind of exhausted your resources, and assuming that everyone's kind of followed along with what you're doing. If I take, what percentage of those pieces would have to make it to that last call, assuming that I follow the program correctly?
In terms of what's going to sell?
Yeah, ultimately, like I'm going to start, I have these 10 pieces. By the time I actually get to the last call, where I've got all these 10 pieces and I've kind of pushed them through. I mean, are 5 of them going to go through the last call process? Kind of what's your normal? What have you seen happen with your program, I guess?
If people walk themselves down the steps correctly, I'd say about 50% of that will make it there. And that's what you just described is exactly what we want to happen. Guys reach out to us, a month or two in advance and let us price those out now. And given that the market might slide, we might have to reprice them when it's time for last call. But then we can put them out there, at a good wholesale mark. And that's when costs can still be taken into account. So if they walk themselves through that process, I would say about 50, 60% maybe will make it actually to that point. Right now, that it's a little tougher just given the market we're in. There's a lot of inventory out there. Sure. But if they walk themselves through themselves, one, save yourselves a ton of money, and two, you're going to get some units sold.
Yep. So Rob, you're in this every day, day in and day out. When you're looking at what's going on in the marketplace right now, compared to 6 months ago, compared to 12 months ago, how do you feel the market is today?
Well, it's been wild. It's been a wild 18 months, that's for sure.
It's very, very, very much so, yeah.
I mean, as crazy as things were through the COVID times, everything that worked to drive the market up is working against you now and has been for the last 18 months. And, I'm obviously not near as old as a lot of the other guys in the business, or dad for that matter. But, I've for all of my time in it, I've never seen a period where it just consistently keeps getting lower and lower and lower. You take last September, you think, it ain't going to get lower than that. You can't buy that thing. Well, then December came and it was lower. And then February came and it was lower. And April was lower. And then June and this summer, it just, And it's just kind of mind-boggling how the market has changed. It's changing so much within, 60 to 90 days. I mean, my personal feeling, I think we've planed out a little bit. Mm-hmm. I think we could see a little bit of a surge come December. That's just my opinion. I could be 100% wrong. I don't know. A lot of it has to do with the grain market.
Yep.
You see the grain market take another hit between now and the end of the year. No, I don't think we've seen the bottom, obviously. I mean,
right.
But you see some of these things sell, these combines and headers and corn heads and tractors, and you're like, my gosh, where is the bottom? And that's the magic question,
Yeah.
So
well,
I've kept saying it here recently, and it might be a little bit of a dumb statement. December will be a different market than it is right now, for sure.
100%.
It's just we don't know exactly where it's going to be.
Yep. So I'd love your guys' opinion on this, and this is something I'm paying close attention to, and just where interest rates are. The Fed dropped a 0.5 point, and they've talked about maybe doing it again by the end of the year. So if you go into December timeframe, with full percentage point lower interest rates, and some of these guys that bought stuff in 22, 23, and they were buying it at the height of these interest rates where they're 7.75% and 7.5% stuff and those kind of things, you start looking at 6% interest, and you kind of get warm and fuzzy about that. The downside of that is if you're trading in the machine, you're trading it back into a market that could be depressed and those kind of things. And the thought process I have, is it'll take a whole year for the buying patterns to pick up and, to kind of buying to offset the down cycle in the marketplace and so on and so forth. So any real light at the end of the tunnel, we'll see it in the 25, in my opinion, late 25 anyhow. Rob, as you look at that, how would it change your buying pattern, I guess, if you saw interest rates at a full less point than full percentage point less than what we saw now, and how do you think the guys you're selling to react to that?
Well, that's kind of a tough question, Casey. I don't know. I mean, obviously from our standpoint, from our personal standpoint, the cheaper the interest gets, the better it is for us, because we're not constantly fighting waivers and buy downs and all that good stuff. Now,
right.
Is it going to get down to 3-4%? No, I don't think. You're exactly right. When a lot of guys who booked a lot of that stuff paying 7.5% interest on $200,000-$400,000 items, I mean, that's going to be a tough pill to swallow. I mean, it makes it tough.
And I got Alan Hoskins that comes on a lot. He's a banker, and that's one of the questions I want to ask him is, as a banker, you're sitting here having a conversation with a guy, and you have a depressed crop situation, but assuming that you can make the numbers work and everything comes like it should, what's it look like if you take your equipment note down, a full point, and then what's that look like on the other side when you look at operating this, which that's the $64,000 question out there, right? It's what's the renewal process look like going into February, and how's that going to change, and what's that look like as things move forward? So I don't know. It's going to be a very interesting fall. I think this interest rate thing. I didn't think they were going to do anything till after the first year, to be honest with you. That's kind of how I thought. Or if they did something, it was going to be after the election, so you'd have a quarter or half point, something like that, going into it. But with this out there now, and then the Fed saying, we're probably going to do something like this again, that adds some, just like you're talking about, Rob, this December is not going to look like it looks like right now, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just going to be, it could be worse, could be better, could be way better or way worse. You know what I mean? It could be anything in the air, just depending on what happens with all the factors that are going into play. So a very interesting time for sure to look at this.
Right.
Rob, last question for both of you guys. Rob, as you're looking out here, going like you just talked about, going through there, what's your thoughts on 25? How do you feel 25 is going to look, and how do you think something like last call is going to start playing into what you're doing at 25 and similar to what you did in 24?
my personal opinion, I think 25 is still going to be tough.
I agree.
I think we're going to have a tougher year. Obviously everything's worked against us, crop prices, interest rates, and, quite frankly, probably most of all is the surplus. There is just so much stuff out of there. And, that's where a thing like last call comes in great. It's another option to try to deplete, move on, and get the stuff moving and get it out of your hair and move on to the next deal. Then you want to take it a step farther. The next question is, we've talked to a lot of guys and a lot of dealers, and, they say they're not selling a ton of new. Well, then the whole cycle comes into play when we get to 26. Are we going to hit a shortage of all this used equipment?
True, yeah.
And, it's a market, it's up and down. It's a roller coaster. It's never running on a level playing field. I mean, it's just like the grain market. It changes every day. It's just not right in front of your face.
Yeah, you don't have a ticker running across there hitting you 4 times a day what's happening in the used equipment place. Thank God. Jake, as you look out right now, your thoughts on what's going to happen there and what's coming up here? What's any new wild and crazy things coming from you guys over at Iron Connect?
We've always got some new stuff coming. I'm not going to show too many cards on the new stuff that's coming until we roll it out. But, just to the comment before, everyone's back and forth. I talk to so many guys every day that some guys say it's going to get worse. Some guys think it's going to get better. So what we're trying to think about is how can we, if it is going to get worse, how can we, keep that floor a little higher? And that's what we're ultimately trying to accomplish from last call. And what we tell everyone is just, hey, before you look at that auction, just send us a list of the units you're looking at there and let us put some numbers on it. You don't have to say yes to it. You can send it there, but it's good for you. It's good for your fellow dealers. It's good for the market if you at least try this. So I guess I'm not going to try to speculate too much on what's going to happen. I just want to, make clear that our angle is here. We're going to try to help keep the market as strong as possible for our dealers and our customers.
For sure. Okay. Well, guys, I appreciate you being on the podcast. Jake, folks want to reach out to you, get more information about what you guys are doing over at Iron Connect. What's the best way to do that?
Yep, just Jake at IronConnect.com. You don't have to worry about my last name. Keep it straight and easy, Jake at IronConnect.com.
Right on. Rob, if they want to call you over at Randall Brothers, what's the best way to do that?
Just email me at randallbrothers@gmail.com or visit the website at www.randallbros.biz. All the numbers are listed on there, all the information. If you need anything at all, feel free to call. I do want to touch on just one thing.
Sure.
I know from our standpoint, we probably sound pretty biased the last call because it might benefit us. I do want to stress, I do feel it's good for both sides of the deal. I mean, Jake's a great guy. Anybody I've ever dealt with over at Iron Connect, they are great people. And I don't see the risk in it from the other side. I do want to stress that I'm not biased just because it benefits us more on one side than the other side. So,
right. Well, it's no different than if you were out buying stuff on the auction, right?
No, right.
You're actually, if you're to that point, Iron Connect's last call is going to give you, as a seller, it's going to give you a little bit better return than what you've seen some of the auction places because of the commissions and stuff that come along with that. So, yeah, for sure. 100%. Guys, appreciate you being on the podcast, man. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks
very much. See you, Nashville.
The Moving Iron Podcast is brought to you by these great sponsors. Are you looking to value your equipment more accurately, target the right buyers and close more deals, reach your ideal customer? Then look no further. Fusable isn't just about ag data. It's about action. Our best-in-class solution empowers you to value your equipment accurately, make informed decisions, and find the perfect prospects. Ignite your dealership's growth at fusable.com/movingiron-podcast. Out in the field, every decision counts. You wouldn't plant without testing your soil, so why would you prospect blind? Introducing EDA, your one-stop shop for ag equipment intel. EDA goes beyond specs and prices. You get deep dive data on every piece of equipment like UCC filings that help track ownership changes and uncover potential sales leads. D&B firmographics, which help you understand the financial health and buying power of potential customers. Market trends that help you stay ahead of the curve and insights on equipment demands and pricings. With EDA, You're not just looking at data, you're seeing opportunity. Find the right buyer, sell smarter, and build lasting relationships. Visit edadata.com for your free demo and unlock the power of knowledge. For over 80 years, Iron Solutions has been your go-to data source for ag dealers, lenders, and manufacturers. Get powerful appraisal and value forecasting tools that fuel profitable decisions anytime, anywhere. Get your free demo at ironsolutions.com. Iron Solutions, confidence in every click. Today, there are many ways to finance ag equipment, but nobody delivers simple, fast, or flexible financing like AgDirect. Learn more about your options to buy, lease, and refinance equipment at agdirect.com. Valley Transportation has been hauling ag and construction equipment across the country for the past 33 years. Call Parker at 800-657-4910 for all your trucking needs. At Valley Transportation, our goal is to help you reach yours.
When you partner with Axon, you immediately gain access to a full range of products and solutions designed to meet the complex needs of today's grower. We carry all major brands and sizes of tires and wheels. We specialize in large diameter wheels for large equipment. We have one of the largest OEM replacement wheel inventories in North America. Known for extreme flotation setups, duals, and triples, we have wheels for all makes and models of tractors, sprayers, combines, and grain carts. If we don't have the wheel in stock, we'll custom build, sandblast, and paint in-house. There isn't a more vast inventory in North America dedicated to helping dealers move more iron. With facilities on the West Coast and in the heart of the Midwest, leverage our 230,000 square feet of indoor inventory to solve any problem a grower may have. Move more iron with Axon.
Moving iron in the 21st century.